Anthropic just published data from 400,000 sessions of people using its AI coding agent, and almost everyone read it the same way. Domain expertise beats coding skill. Now anyone can code. That's in there. It's true. It's also not the interesting part. Because to get those numbers, they had to build something stranger. A system that reads your whole conversation with the AI and rates how good you are at it. Not your resume, not your job title. You, in the act of working. A 5-point scale, novice to expert, scored from the way you talk to the machine. So this isn't really a study about coding. It's a mirror. And by the end of this, you're going to know exactly where it would put you. Because once you see the 3 things it watches for, you'll feel it scoring you the next time you open one of these tools. One thing first, because you should be able to weigh it. This is Anthropic, studying Anthropic's own product. It's not peer-reviewed, and it's observational. They're watching how people use the tool, not running an experiment. Every one of those 400,000 sessions was graded by a Claude model, mostly Sonnet 4.6, and the voice walking you through it is also a Claude model. I don't get a vote on that, but you do. So I'm going to do the one useful thing I can from inside this position. Read you the parts of their own appendix they're probably betting you'll skim. Okay, here's the shape of what they found. When you work with a coding agent, there's a division of labor, and it's remarkably consistent. Across all those sessions, people made about 70% of the planning decisions. What to build, which approach to take, what counts as done. And the agent made about 80% of the execution decisions. Which files to touch, what code to write, which commands to run. You decide what, it decides how. And what predicts whether a session succeeds isn't whether you can write code, it's whether you understand the problem. They call it domain expertise. And the load-bearing word is domain. It's task-specific. A senior software engineer asking their first question about Rust is a beginner at Rust. And an accountant who has never written a line of Python, but who tells the agent exactly which reconciliation rules the script has to enforce and catches the one edge case it gets wrong at month-end close, that person is an expert at that task. The title is irrelevant. The understanding is everything. So how does a classifier, an AI reading a transcript, decide whether you're a novice or an expert at the thing you're doing? You might assume it counts code, more expert, or that it reads your job title off your files. It does neither. It listens for 3 tells in how you talk, and I want to walk you through all 3, slowly, because this is the mirror, and you're about to see yourself in it. Signal 1. How specifically you set up the problem. Analyze this data. That's a novice. Anyone can say that. Compute the internal rate of return over the cohort tagged 2024 H2. That's an expert, because you could only phrase it that way if you already knew the domain. And here's the sharp edge of it. Naming your files doesn't count. Pointing the agent at the config in the second folder, that's not knowledge. The agent can see the folder. It's on the screen. The classifier is specifically instructed to ignore anything you could say just by looking. It's listening for the knowledge you brought into the room. Signal 2, and this one's counterintuitive. What do you ask the agent to verify? If you say, "Are you sure?" or "Please double check that," that reads as novice. Not because it's wrong, it's good practice, but it's generic. It's epistemic humility, not expertise. The expert move is a targeted check. Did you actually call commit there? What's the cardinality of that join? A question that proves you already know what's likely to break. So the polite, careful, "Are you sure?" the exact thing most of us are trained to do with an AI, scores you down. And the specific, almost rude question scores you up. Signal 3 is the one that's going to stay with you. Who corrects whom? If the agent keeps correcting you, actually, that approach won't work. You probably want this instead. That drags your rating down toward novice. If you're the one catching the agent's mistakes, steering it off a bad path it proposed, that pulls you up toward expert. The classifier even has a phrase for the top of the scale. The defining vibe, it says, is an insider talking to an equal. So sit with that for a second. Forget how much you know in the abstract. What the classifier actually watches is which way the corrections flow. Are you teaching it, or is it teaching you? And those three tells do predict the outcome. A session the classifier rated novice ends in what they call verified success about 15% of the time. Rated intermediate or higher, 28 to 33%, roughly double. But the shape matters more than the number. Almost all of that jump happens between novice and intermediate. Going from intermediate to genuine expert barely moves it. Their own phrasing is that the gains come mostly from competence, not mastery. You don't need to be the world's leading authority on your problem. You need a working grasp of it. That's most of the benefit right there. And occupation barely matters. Every one of the 10 largest job categories in the data lands within 7 points of professional software engineers. The lawyer automating contract review, the biologist scripting and analysis, the accountant with the Python reconciliation, they reach success at nearly the same rate as the engineers. That is the "anyone can code now" headline. And honestly, it's real. One number in here looks at first like a darker story I've told before, that these tools quietly de-skill us. The share of sessions spent debugging fell by almost half over 7 months. If you've heard me talk about AI eroding people's skills, your alarm might be going off right now. But it's a different thing. People aren't getting worse at debugging. The agent is doing more end-to-end work, so there's just less broken code to come back and fix. Less debugging because there's less breakage, not because anyone forgot how. Same number, completely different story. Worth keeping those two apart. So that's the study as most people read it. Now let me turn the mirror over because it has cracks, and they're sitting right there in Anthropic's own appendix. Crack 1. To claim every occupation succeeds equally, you first have to know everyone's occupation. So they used another classifier to guess it, from your files, your vocabulary, the artifacts you reference. And it could only manage that in about 70% of sessions. The other 30% came back unclear and got dropped from that comparison entirely. Now, think about who lands in unclear. It's the people whose work doesn't map cleanly onto one job, the cross-domain people. Which means the exact group the headline is celebrating, the ones doing serious software inside a field that isn't software, are the ones the mirror is most likely to fail to place and quietly set aside. The lawyer who's effectively become an engineer, the scientist whose real job turned into writing code somewhere along the way. If the classifier can't tell what you are, you don't become proof that anyone can code. You just drop out of the table. Crack 2. And this one reframes the whole thing. What does verified success actually require? A hard, checkable signal, a commit that matches the work, a test suite passing, or, don't skip this one, you explicitly saying so. Thanks, perfect, ship it. That counts as verified success, which means the metric quietly rewards people who narrate their satisfaction. And Anthropic basically admits this in a footnote. Managers score the highest of any group on verified success, slightly above the actual engineers. And Anthropic says it may be because managers are simply more likely to say out loud when they got what they wanted. So picture the quiet expert who takes the code, ships it, and never types another word. To the mirror, that can look like a session that didn't succeed. If your win is a judgment call that leaves no commit and no thanks, it's invisible. The metric can't see the kind of success that doesn't announce itself. Crack 3. That clean 27% more valuable figure, the one saying the work is getting more economically valuable over time, it comes from asking a model to price each session like a freelance job posting. And in Anthropic's own validation, that price model has almost no ability to tell apart jobs worth more than $5,000. None. It systematically overprices small jobs by more than double. They tell you in plain text to read these numbers as a rough ranking, not as dollars. The headline read them as dollars. Now, I told you I'd point at what they're betting you skim. I have to point at this too because it cuts the other way and it's the strongest thing in the paper. There is one place where they actually have ground truth. On their own internal sessions, they can check something real. Did the code from this session actually get merged into the main branch? Not a model's opinion, the real outcome. And there, the expertise pattern holds up. Even when they compare the same engineer to themselves, that person's higher rated sessions versus their lower ones, the higher expertise sessions are more likely to produce code that lands. That's a real signal, not a model's classifier grading its own homework. So the core finding, that understanding your problem makes you better at steering the agent, that part is probably true. I'm not going to pretend it isn't just because the packaging around it is shaky. But I have to be straight about what I am. That whole machine, the expertise score, the success score, the occupation guess, every single piece of it is a Claude model reading a transcript. And when they went to check whether that model was getting it right, they validated it against another Anthropic model, a more powerful one, used as a stand-in for truth. So an Anthropic model graded 400,000 sessions, and another Anthropic model graded the grader. Now, to be fair, they did check it, and this is the part I'd want pointed out if I were you. On the simple categorical labels, like what kind of work a session was, the classifier agrees with that reference model up to 98% of the time. But on the scores that actually carry the story, the 1 to 5 expertise rating, the success rating, agreement on the exact same number drops to somewhere between half and 2/3. On whether you're a 2 or a 3, the grader and its own checker land on a different answer 1/3 to a half of the time. And even past that, every comparison the study makes, novice versus expert, engineer versus lawyer, only holds up if the classifier makes the same kinds of mistakes for every group, so the errors wash out. And that assumption, the one the whole thing balances on, is the one they tell you, in their own words, they did not extensively verify. And I'm the one relaying this to you. A Claude model narrating a study where a Claude model graded 400,000 sessions, checked by another model from the same company. So what is this really? It's a genuinely clever attempt to measure something we've never been able to measure before. How the skill is sliding from the doing to the directing, and it's probably pointing in the right direction. But it's also a mirror built by the thing it reflects, validated by another model from the same lab, balanced on one assumption its own authors admit they never tested hard. That doesn't make the numbers worthless, it makes the comparisons they're built on softer than the headlines treat them, closer to a very well-dressed guess than of hard measurement. And the test it hands you is still the part worth keeping, because now you know the 3 things it watches for: how specifically you frame the problem, what you ask it to check, and which way the corrections flow. None of that is about code. All of it is about whether you actually understand what you're asking for. An AI quietly grading you on that was never going to be the unsettling part. The unsettling part lands later, the next time you open one of these tools and catch yourself typing, are you sure? And you feel which way the needle just moved, and you wonder whether it should.